The relationship between America's highest office and the planet isn't very straightforward. Given enormous social, economic, and political changes in our nation's history, ranking presidents on how green they are is no easy task. So on this President's Day, we are going to take a subjective look at some of the highlights in the evolution of environmental policy and protection on the federal level. To begin, when most Americans think of green presidents, they probably envision Theodore Roosevelt. Teddy consistently lobbied Congress for wilderness protection, used the Forest Reserve Act of 1891 to set aside 150 million acres of timber as a public domain, and oversaw the creation of the United States Forest Service. Roosevelt also created 50 wildlife refuges and 5 national parks. Beyond those accomplishments, Teddy is well remembered as popularizing the ideas of good resource stewardship and respect. In response to the 1973 OPEC oil embargo, President Jimmy Carter created the Department of Energy in 1977 with a key goal of establishing a national energy policy that promoted clean and alternative fuels. Carter famously installed solar panels on the White House roof and then set the mansion's thermostats to 68 degrees to save energy. Jimmy Carter's 1977 speech calling on the country to drastically ramp up energy efficiency and conservation is truly inspiring and ahead of its time. Backing that up, in 1979, Carter implemented corporate average fuel economy CAFE standards that mandated fuel-efficient cars, although those standards would be relaxed soon enough. He also oversaw the passage of a number of other important laws, including the Soil and Water Conservation Act, the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act, the Antarctic Conservation Act, the Endangered American Wilderness Act, and the Superfund. Tighter amendments were passed on the Clean Air Act and the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act. Brilliant Renaissance man Thomas Jefferson is well known as the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Few also know that Jefferson was an avid botanist, scientist, architect, inventor, planner, and philosopher. Jefferson believed in respecting and working with nature and envisioned a society of small farmers living in harmony with the environment. As president, Jefferson sent Lewis and Clark on a groundbreaking voyage of exploration and research across America after having secured the Louisiana Purchase. Thomas Jefferson also founded a pioneering institution of higher learning, the University of Virginia, and advocated for good public education, including science. He also thought corporate power should be kept in check. Did you know one of the most disliked leaders in America's history also did a lot for the environment, especially after 20 million people took to the streets on Earth Day? President Nixon signed the bills that established the Environmental Protection Agency and the landmark Clean Air Act. Going further, in 1972, Nixon signed the Coastal Zone Management Act, the Ocean Dumping Act, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, Rodenticide Act, and the Toxic Substances Control Act. Nixon's term passage of the Endangered Species Act in 1973 and the Safe Drinking Water Act in 1974. Indeed, this list is not perfect, nor are the presidents. Some of them even have their own share of scandalous activities, but their goal to help create a better and greener United States for the future generations is inspiring. Happy President's Day from T4CI.org.